The first ever game to officially add playable false Super Saiyan Goku is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero Super Limit Breaking Neo, and as hype as this character is, it's opening the gateway for all other unplayable forms and characters in movies and other spin-offs to finally having a chance to show up in the mainline games. It might not actually be a transformation. Hello everyone, it's me again, Steve Doji here, back with more Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and this time around I wanted to talk about the new false Super Saiyan Goku transformation, because it's probably not a transformation, and by probably I mean it most definitely is 100% not a transformation. They could change it, they could rebalance it, maybe it replaces the original Super Saiyan on this character version of Goku, but for now I want to quickly explain what false Super Saiyan actually is before we go into why it doesn't appear in any Dragon Ball game until this one. So now again, going over the course of Dragon Ball, if you guys remember, obviously Goku goes Super Saiyan for the first time during the Namek Saga, and before the Namek Saga, we just heard about the Super Saiyan, right? So when they were doing the movies and they were like, oh, Super Saiyan's gonna show up soon in the manga, so we'll know what it looks like, but until then, let's just try and get some hype off of the, the form now by doing an early version of what Super Saiyan looks like. And then what did Toei Animation do? They made false Super Saiyan, except it's not exactly a false Super Saiyan. It kind of literally is just Super Saiyan, but Toei's version of Super Saiyan. So again, Toriyama's version of Super Saiyan is the one you guys all know. This is Toei's version of Super Saiyan. It's super specific, but everyone calls it false Super Saiyan. It technically is just a normal Super Saiyan, just the non-canon version. Kind of how like Super Saiyan 4 GT is a Super Saiyan 4, but it's just a non-canon version of a Super Saiyan 4. I hope I made that very clear, because if you guys were wondering why it never appears in any video game, well, because why would you ever pick the non-canon version of the extremely giga popular canon Super Saiyan? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, no one's gonna do that. So that's why full Super Saiyan, for the most part, has pretty much never made an appearance. Not only does he not have any original or unique moves to him, other than his ki having a really cool burning effect, which he might honestly get as a counterattack, because again, this trailer doesn't show us everything, right? He could get that as a counterattack, super attack, or as a skill, anything, right? Because that is one of the most iconic parts. You know, Lord Slug tries to punch Goku, Goku catches his fist, and then Lord Slug's hand starts to burn, so he lets go of Goku and he falls to the ground. I think that's a really cool feature, so they could still end up doing that for false SSJ Goku in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and if not Sparking Zero, heck, any game, because again, Sparking Zero actually doing this opens the floodgates for so many other things. Like, there's a chance now that we might see movie versions of characters exclusively, or even like Super Kaioken, any of the other filler stuff that we never actually get in the video games. A good example is Sparking Zero also added Gohan with the Z-Sword as a playable character. Now, I think that's probably going to just be a costume swap for regular adult Gohan, or maybe even for Ultimate Gohan, that he gets to use the Z-Sword as a moveset. But characters who have never had the chance to really flex their stuff actually are getting a chance to flex their stuff, whether it be through outfit variants or from forms that never got adapted finally getting adapted. This even goes down to super attacks, because we could see in the trailer that they also show stuff like Gohan and Piccolo's, like, Mentor Kamehameha Special Beam Cannon that they used in the Tournament of Power when they beat the other two Namekians. They actually straight up show that, as well as showing Krillin and 18's combined ultimate attack and the Miracle of Universe 7. Now, these could just be moves that are team attacks, or this could be moves that are for both sides. A good example is that Gohan's Kamehameha and Piccolo's Special Beam Cannon look like two different cinematics. Like, they don't look like they're part of the same attack. So they might both be able to trigger these new moves. Either way, I think that's really cool. Imagine if, like, back in Tenkaichi, oh my god, imagine if, like, Gohan could trigger Bro's Kamehameha, but Goten could also trigger Bro's Kamehameha. That's what they've basically done for Piccolo and Gohan, and for Krillin and 18, and maybe even for Frieza and Goku, although I imagine the Miracle of Universe 7 is more of a Goku attack, because there's the whole cinematic of him going Super Saiyan in the middle of it. So I don't think it's more of a Frieza move. But there's just so many unique move variants being added, because even with the, oh my god, the movie, okay, the movie stuff is obviously where false Super Saiyan came from, right? Because that's a movie unique thing. But Goku doing that one specific punch to Broly's core that finishes him off, I don't know if that single attack, I'm a real, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that attack is in any game that's not Dragon Ball Legends. And Dragon Ball Legends has adapted that like several times. Maybe Dokkan Battle, right? Some people are going to be like, oh, Steve, you forgot about the other mobile game. Great. Amazing. But I'm speaking about big console games, right? The big punch that Goku does to Broly's core that makes him explode. I don't know if that's been adapted in like any other DBZ console game, because I don't remember that in the Tenkaichi games, don't remember that in the Budokai games, don't remember that in Raging Blast, wasn't in Battle of Z either, wasn't in Xenoverse 1, etc, right? And the same with Meteor Combination, finally! That move is so goddamn gorgeous, man. Again, it's an OG Dragon Ball move, and OG Dragon Ball for the most part gets kind of disrespected heavy, but seeing them actually give it quite a bit of feature, even if the giant Piccolo, that's super duper fire, man. My biggest fear though is that they're just going to add way more Gokus to the game rather than just making these moves that you can swap on and off of each Goku. Now, obviously, OG Dragon Ball Goku, that move is going to be unique to him because it's even like rigged to his face. But full Super Saiyan looks like it could really just fit on any DBZ version of Goku. So again, I probably think that Sparking Zero would take some good inspiration from Raging Blast by having you have the option to customize moves on characters' transformations. Like, maybe I just don't want Super Kamehameha and Full Power Energy Wave Volley on my DBZ Goku. Maybe I want Super Kamehameha and Full Super Saiyan. And then obviously Full Super Saiyan doesn't become an option anymore when you go Super Saiyan. And when you become Super Saiyan, you can get a Warp Kamehameha as one of your selectable moves. Stuff like that. So I think you could take a good page from the Raging Blast book by just having selectable super attacks. Like, you could customize every single skill that you want your character to have. Hell, maybe that's what they'll finally use the accessory slots for. Remember, most characters don't even get to use one accessory slot, and the max you can ever find is like 2 or 3. But overall, there's like 10. So I would like to be able to customize multiple of my super attacks in multiple of my forms using the accessory slot function. That should be the main reason why it exists, right? So maybe Full Super Saiyan not only is an actual transformation in the game, but also an actual skill if you equip it to your accessory slot, or if you have the costume for it, because we know costumes also change your super attacks, like Goku getting the Power Pole super attack if you give DBS Goku the Power Pole Kamehameha combo. But now, to address the elephant in the room, is this a transformation? No, it's not. And the biggest evidence we have to this is two aspects of this. One, the cinematic literally starts with Goku going into his base form. Like, he goes from base form into a full Super Saiyan. Then he charges forward. And the charging forward is very indicative of it being a super attack animation, because there's no transformation in the game where the character transforms and then immediately does an attack afterwards. That's ridiculous. It's impossible to hit the transformation based solely on that. But there's also another aspect. If you check the last few frames after Goku fires the energy barrage volley, you can actually see that he goes back to base form. And there's no other smoking gun. Then again, he starts the move in base form, he does the move, and then he ends the move in base form, meaning it is not a transformation, it is a single super attack. And obviously that's going to make a lot of people upset because they want Full Super Saiyan playable. Some people might scream false advertising, yada yada yada, but in all honesty, it's in the trailer already. You can kind of just see it's not a transformation, it really is just a regular super attack. And I'm going to say this from my perspective, I'm fine with this. I really like the way OG Super Saiyan looks, and I probably wasn't ever going to use Full Super Saiyan over OG Super Saiyan ever in the whole game. Maybe some people would, because they like the blacker, hair aesthetic for Goku of the crazy, Broly, like, whited out eyes. But I was never going to use this over regular Super Saiyan to begin with. Regular Super Saiyan's iconic, it's legendary. At this point, legendary Super Saiyan, some might say. And then also, on the off chance, it's not false advertising at all, because again, they do just straight up show you in the trailer that you transform into this to do the attack. And then also in the trailer, they did leave in that Goku was back in base form at the end of the attack. So they did show it on purpose. They don't want anyone to scream or complain to them later about, why is it not a permanent transformation, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you guys are mad at Bandai for this, that's fine. That's actually completely fair. Because, again, some people could say, well, they showed the full Super Saiyan. Everyone knows it's a transformation. So why isn't it a transformation in the game? And I think that's also pretty fair. Imagine if they did the same thing with Super Kaioken, for example. They showed Goku going Super Saiyan and then going Kaioken on top of Super Saiyan. Then he does the Super Kaioken attack and then de-transforms. People would be like, oh, why is it not a permanent transformation? But all honesty, I'm going to argue the same thing that I would for Super Kaioken. It would probably just be a skill. Like, you use Blastock to upkeep, like, Super Kaioken. The same way how, if you want to be Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, you have to obviously use your skill counter to activate Kaioken as a separate, like, buff for, Super Saiyan Blue. That's the same way Super Kaioken would work. And honestly, in my opinion, that's the same way Full Super Saiyan should work. I'd much prefer if it was just a skill that you had to keep using Blastock to upkeep. Because, realistically, if it's Goku's transformation, that means this Goku can't go Super Saiyan 2 or 3. Because that doesn't make sense. Why is he false SSJ1, but he can go Super Saiyan 2 and 3? It would be much cooler if it was a skill, that way you could go into it when you can, and upkeep it for as long as possible, if you can manage that. Hell, maybe it could even be a permanent skill, like Super Saiyan Blue Evolved. You guys remember that. Super Saiyan Blue Evolved is legit a permanent skill, rather than making it its own separate transformation, which is one of the things I slightly disagree with, but at the same time, it's way stronger because it's a skill, so keep that in mind. Either way, I think that's a pretty good place to end the video. If you guys enjoyed the video and also again, please leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe, it greatly supports the channel. And leave a comment down below as to what you'd like to see next, fellas. Again, I do love you all. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time, gang. Take care and peace. Bye-bye.